What was your "it seemed like a good idea at the time" story? Holding onto my friend's car mirror while skateboarding on a newly paved parking lot. I let my 14-year-old cousin at the time try driving the family car. I was like 18 back then or 20, and I told him it's easy to drive an automatic car. Basically like driving a go-kart. Told him gas was right and brakes were center. I forgot to mention that changing the gear to D will automatically have the car move. We both panicked and hit a f-king tree in front of us at probably 1 mile per hour. Luckily we were in our neighborhood by a dead end. Snow water skiing. Me driving the snowmobile across a snowy field and my little brother skiing behind holding a tow rope. 2 broken legs. Me and my friend used to play a game where we threw a Swiss Army knife up in the air at nighttime and then ran away from it. With the knife part out. When I was a kid I tried to ride my bike up the trunk of a tree so I could kick off and try to land it, and it'd be really cool. Turns out a tree trunk is rounded and so you'll just slip off the trunk and hit your head on the tree. My brother still gives me shit about trying to ride my bike up a tree. Shooting each other with fireworks on New Year's. One landed directly in between my eyes. Luckily, it didn't go off and I wasn't injured. Hey, you know those degenerates who you stay out drinking with until sunrise every other day? Why don't you live with them for the last 2 years of law school? That won't cause any issues at all. Cue 2 years of abuse to my body and liver and more than a little strain between me and my friends at the time. Overall it was fun. But definitely not a good idea. Yo, I did this too. If you make friends with the party people in your dorm, don't move in with them after first year. Move in with the studious people in your dorm. But go party with your party friends once in a while. Your home life will be quiet and conducive to studying and your party friends will stay friends. It's real hard to stay friends with those people when you live with them because they can be incredibly selfish and inconsiderate because partying comes first and your studies sleep job come last always. Playing sled dog with my newly rescued husky and a longboard on the hilly streets near my house in college. Snapped my right forearm in half and had to walk a mile back home to get a ride to the hospital. I ran across the street with my eyes closed. When I was 14. I didn't get hit by a car. However, I ran into a tree headfirst and cut my face and knee open. For all of you asking what my thought process was, it is as follows. Starting a career in television in the late 90s. I mean, the internet is cool and all, but it's still way too slow to ever compete with 200 TV channels. Right? I went on a solo trip to Costa Rica when I was 26. I'm a fairly petite female. I speak no Spanish. The eco lodge I was staying at helped me arrange a guide for an all-day hike. We were flown by 4-seater plane into the jungle. A 26-hour walk to the nearest town. We landed. Jose and I hopped out. And the plane took off again. Leaving me, Jose and his machete alone for the day. Thankfully it went okay. But as soon as that plane took off I realized I had made a bad choice. Being roommates with someone I had a huge crush on. It didn't end well. On a rainy day, I saw a hitchhiker near the university asking for a ride. He looked the part of a student. Although I never pick up hitchhikers, I felt sorry for him standing in the rain and gave him a lift. It felt like the right thing to do at the time. He told me where he was headed, so I went out of my way to drive him there. The guy just kept staring at me and said very little. When we arrived at his destination, he wouldn't get out of my car, no matter what. Finally, when a police officer came along, I told him to hop out or I'd call the cop over for help. That ended it. But if the officer hadn't come by, I have no idea what might have happened. Applying for a PhD position. TTY pay and no free time in sight for the next 3 years. Thanks to it I despise working in science like never before. Getting taped to a cart. Drunk. During a music festival. And then getting rolled down a hill towards a lake. Moving in with my girlfriend. I FK'd up. It's a disaster that I should have seen coming. In college, a large group of us hiked up to this abandoned mine shaft at night. Took turns squeezing through a small crack in the mountain. The main entrance was closed off. Walked down a long dark corridor with our flashlights. Then set up a campfire in one of the large clearings at the end and proceeded to get wasted. All fun and games until a rather large girl got too drunk and couldn't walk on her own. Getting her out of there was a whole FK'd up ordeal. Thought a few times during the process that we were going to have to leave her there in the dark and go get help. Especially when my flashlight started to die. You're lucky you all didn't suffocate to death. Building a fire in an enclosed space in the mountain. Making bows and arrows with my friends when I was around 13. To ensure that the arrows got stuck in some tree or whatnot, we duct taped 80mm nails at their ends. Then we went shooting around the nearby field with complete disregard of others' positions. I did not take an arrow to the knee, but to the palm of my hand. Remembering the friend saying to the other, "No worries, I won't hit him." Luckily nothing serious came from that. When I was younger, I tried to show my sister that I could swing without holding onto the swing, so I did and I fell. I was riding my bike and tried to be faster by leaning while turning. Like a motorcycle. I obviously ended up falling and the skin on my knees and elbows got ripped off. Dating a girl that had a crush on me. Didn't know her all that well beforehand other than that she was relatively quiet and an outsider at school. Relationship eventually ended because I wouldn't let her tie me up and put a knife to my throat during sex. Zero issues with the tying me up part. But the knife was a deal breaker. She did a presentation that compared some hentai to the Bible in our religious instruction class a few weeks after we broke up. The teacher actually let her show a few minutes of a hentai movie before intervening. I practiced my golf swing while standing on my bed. It was raining outside. I managed to take out 2 lights with the first swing, the bedside lamp and the overhead light. That one crashed down on my head. Broken glass everywhere. My 3DS had trouble reading the cartridges. So I put water in the game slot. I no longer have a 3DS. When I was in 1st grade, my 2 friends and I invented a game where we kicked our shoes off of the swings to see who could kick theirs the farthest. Somehow mine ended up on the roof and the janitor had to get it. And I only cried for like 20 minutes. I once poured wax down the sink because I was trying to make a wax waterfall, thinking that the wax would harden as it dropped down. Summer camp one year. Everyone was getting in barrels to roll down this giant hill. It seemed like tons of fun, so I hopped in one and down I went. Well, the whole time it felt like I was being beaten up by the ground. And I was bruised pretty much from head to toe with a few cuts and scrapes too. Being a young teen, I of course had to act tough and like it was awesome. But it really was not awesome. I thought I was maybe just a wimp or did it wrong. But looking back, it definitely seems it was a dare type thing everyone wanted to prove they were tough enough for. I'm guessing many more than just me had the thought of, well, law school. Lol. Going on a 4-day bender with no sleep. Ended up getting the shit kicked out of me and required 7 stitches in the back of my head. Spending 2 months' wages. Losing my brand new Uacute 1000 phone and pissing off numerous ex-girlfriends by declaring my love for them. Oh, and I was hungover for about a week. Haven't had a drink for 3 months now because of my stupidity. Came out of a party at uni and my friend told me to jump into a snow pile head first. Thought it would be really funny until the snow pile turned out to have a layer of solid ice on the top. Blacked out for a couple seconds and cut my head pretty badly. There was a diner that I ate at in college 3 or 4 times a week. It closed down due to university expansion, and my buddies thought, let's go reminisce one last time. That ended with cops with guns drawn in our face and a weekend in jail. So you all break and entered just to gaze around the place sighing wistfully? LMAO. Honestly, if I ever get arrested, I'm sure it will be for something equally dorky. I don't know if this counted, but Introduced myself to the boy I had a huge crush on via text message. I didn't remember how I got his number and insisted that I can be his best friend. Hi. I'm from class A. I know you like a girl in my class. You actually can share your feelings to me. No, I don't like her. Well, if you want to share any story at all, you can text me. I thought I was the most genius person ever. Since I made my first move to a boy I like, I just wanted him to know that I exist. But now I cringe every time I think about how stupid it was. Even after 10 years. I stuck a googly eye up my nose when I was 3. It got stuck. My mom had to pull it out with tweezers. When asked why I did it, I wanted to see if it fit was my response. I still get the compulsive urge to put things in my nose to this day. Usually earbuds. No idea why. Decided to get high and go to a yoga class because I thought I would get a better mind-muscle connection. Turns out the class I decided to go to was being taught by an Eastern European yoga psychopath and had me bending my body in ways I have never done before. Never again. Having sex with Sherry. She gave me crabs. Throwing firecrackers out of the car while pulling into my friend's driveway. It was all good and fun till one went off in my lap. My cousin and I were sitting on his balcony on a breezy day. And we decided to spray some of my pepper spray into the air to see what it smelled like. Into the wind. Oh. How our eyes burned. There was alcohol involved. Edit to note that I am pleased that this has made so many of you all smile. But utterly disgusted that BuzzFeed is using it. And they have edited so that a stupid act looks even more stupid than it was. Dating my co-worker even though I have been down this path once before. We lasted for a while before I caught him flirting with a new girl in front of me. I found out a lot of things after the fact and it nearly destroyed me. Cutting my own bangs at home. This YouTube tutorial looks so easy. What could go wrong? I asked myself. Who boy? My friend and I got high one day after school but my mom hadn't been grocery shopping and we had no snacks. So my friend and I coated raw Pillsbury croissant dough in cinnamon sugar and tried to eat it. Also concerning the munchies. My friend's parents had a huge box of Hot Pockets and one snow day we got stoned and I ate around 6-9 in one afternoon which the human gut really isn't equipped to deal with. We had 5 people who wanted to ride 2 quads at the same time. 2 people on each max. We ratchet strapped a fridge dolly on the back of one. Making sure it was really tight secure. Took the 5th person. Ratchet strapped him in with bungee cords rope and took off. It lasted 3 minutes tops. Lost 2 straps. Badly skinned up hand. From tipping over. Yeah. It seemed like a good idea. Work sent me to the Chicago area and I got out super early one evening and decided to hitch a train to a bar I've always wanted to go to. I carefully planned a trip so I could make it there and back with enough time to see the bar and without driving so I could drink. Perfect plan. I took an hour and a half's worth of train rides. Walked for 5 minutes. And found that the bar was closed for a private event. That's how I spent my night yesterday. Every DIY project repair I've attempted. Me and my cousin found my dad's hunting rifle when we were about 10 and we decided to play with it. I am from the countryside while my cousin is from a town and I decided to show him how cool I am and how I know all about guns. Long story short, I pointed the rifle at him fully sure the safety was on until I heard the click with the barrel point blank pressed into his head. I got such a fright I have never touched a gun again in my life. Even nearly 20 years later. Gives me the shivers even thinking about it. Using a still full bottle of acetone nail polish remover as a DLDO. I was 15. Dumb. And horny. And the shape was perfect. It leaked. $200. 000. Plus diploma. Getting really high before a work Christmas lunch at a fancy restaurant. I was 19 in my defense, but damn it was awkward trying to talk to people and act normal. Such a bright restaurant. When I was 19 I joined the military. Had nothing to do with this question. I love how OP is reacting to a lot of comments very wholesomely. Or, thank you. I was having trouble paying my rent. So I'll let my friend move into my bedroom while I slept in the living room. Thought we'd share the rent 50/50. Turns out, my friend of 15 years was an alcoholic. He never paid his share of rent on time. Drank a liter of wine every night. I found bottles he had hidden for months after he moved out, and he was a complete slob. I really didn't know my friend very well. He moved out saying it's not going to work out. For about 3 months he texted me to ask for money. I ignored every call text. Finally, I ran into him at a restaurant. He was staying at a sober living place and he was f***ing trashed off his ass. We haven't spoken since. When I was 6 I just learned to ride a bike. I thought it would be cool to go down a flight of stairs. Just like they did in my favorite movie. Was just about to go when dad jumped off his bike and saved me. Did a 9,000+ mass email to help my boss advertise for his business. I had never done it before and I was just trying to be efficient. My computer was incapacitated for 3 hours and I had my work email blacklisted by all the major email servers. Never again. While a friend and I were helping another friend move, we found some of her Zoloft that was who knows how old. She said, "Yeah. You can take it." We had no idea that washing down the pills with bourbon would be so incredibly horrible. The stomach pain and discomfort of that night was unforgettable. 15 years later we still refer to the night of the Zoloft when we want to compare something bad. Why would you just randomly take someone else's Zoloft? It's not like taking one will do anything. Old medicine is usually not a problem. I'm sure it is for some pharmaceuticals. But not often. Close bracket. Mixing pharmaceuticals and booze is like things to avoid 101. For a film like Class, we needed to record a large variety of sounds with our sound recorders. I like the sloshing sound of my water bottle. And was curious how it would sound if it was flipped. To do this, I flipped the water bottle and tried to record the sound it made. Well, the bottle hit the ground. The cap came off. And water spilled everywhere. It got my notes wet. My shoes wet. My friend wet. I didn't know there was so much water in that bottle. I didn't even get a good sound out of it. Giving my virginity away. I was depressed. The man I was hoping to marry dumped me. Figured waiting didn't matter anymore. Virginity isn't a thing. It's a lack of a thing. The more positive phrasing I like is SZOL debut. Since it's your first time doing a thing. Lots of people do lots of things for the first time. SZOL and otherwise. And lots of the time it sucks. That's okay. Your second situation could be better. Or your third. Or whatever. But don't trick yourself into thinking something had been lost. If anything, something has been gained. Experience. F-king a shampoo bottle. Courtesy of our teenagers. Living with my friends off campus junior year of college. Guess which 4 people all hate each other now? We moved in June and by January people were on non-speaking terms. Getting married at 19. We had a kid, decided to make it official, stated married for 18 years while he cheated, gave me an STD and was a raging alcoholic. Yeah. Not a good idea. Playing with my friends at school. Seems innocent enough. But no. Ended up splitting my knee open and required 23 stitches after landing hard on some concrete. I joined Reddit. Now I'm just wasting my time away looking at cat pictures. Getting married at 20 yo. Actually. Happened to me last week. I was at Boy Scout camp. And due to the very little light pollution that state forests provide, the stars were absolutely beautiful that night. Some of the other scouts had gone to take a long exposure shot of the stars and galaxies you could see. I decided to join them. And when I looked up at the sky, it was absolutely stunning. Then, realizing that this beautiful moment happens in every teenage film, where they lie on the ground and look up the stars, proceed to yell, "This is a epic movie bucket list moment. Full stop." And instead of just lying down slowly and spreading myself out, I took the quickest way I knew possible. I yeeted myself up in the air and spread out all my limbs, snow angel style, and just fell. Only once I was in the air did I realize that I should have braced my head. So, yeah, I have a concussion now. Boo, I can say the stars were amazing in that brief moment in which I was in the air. And I have one less item on my bucket list. Also, I'm 6 feet 4. And it was downhill.